Hello, friends. I'm under the cloak of darkness tonight. I've got to move stealthily, as Nehemiah did when he spied out the ruins of Jerusalem. It was just Nehemiah, his horse, and the Lord, and a pile of rubble that was once the great city, the eternal capital of the Jewish people, the city of God, if you will. And Nehemiah went on a scouting trip, and it was at nighttime, and he saw the broken down ruins of the great city of Jerusalem, everything leveled, the temple, the walls, just a pile of rubble. And it stunned him, and it broke his heart. And God laid on Nehemiah's heart that he was going to be the one that led the Jews out of Babylon, that they were in captivity for that, in Babylon, for basically being removed from Jerusalem by the Lord because of their continued idolatry and wickedness. Jeremiah, the great prophet, warned God's people many, many times to repent, but they didn't, and finally God too has an end to his patience and mercy, brought the hammer down, and the rest is history, as they say. But back to Nehemiah. He was given charge by King, was it Cyrus? Doesn't sound right to me. I'm tired tonight, but anyway, I'll think of it later if that's right or wrong. But was basically given charge by the king, because he was the king's, taster, tester, kind of a trusted figure in the king's court. That and the king and his queen both noticed that Nehemiah's countenance was sad, and he said, "Well, how can I be happy when the sepulchres of my fathers lie in waste?" He was talking about Jerusalem. And so the great king, Persian king, must be Cyrus, anyway, said, "Well, I'll give you letters of conveyance and supplies and everything." And I guess this is what the king did after Nehemiah had scouted it out and sort of made a list of the things that he was going to do. But so anyway, it's an incredible story. And in there, at one point, when Nehemiah brings these ragtag band of Jews back to literally rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, they had to secure the walls before they could rebuild the temple and the city and the houses and everything else that lay in ruins. And I wish I had this committed to memory. But basically, he said, when they started building the wall, of course, anytime you're doing God's work, you immediately come under attack by Satan's disciples. And this is what happened. And they were getting it from the left and the right, being attacked. And Nehemiah said, we worked in two groups. We had the sword in the left hand and laying stones with the right hand, or vice versa, whatever the case may be. And he says, we had a mind to build, we had a mind to fight. And he said, when things got going tough, he told his people, like a great general and a great leader that he was, he said, "People," he says, "fight for your women and your children, and fight for your nation, fight for God's people." And so the people fought, and they beat back the enemy, and the rest, again, is history. They finished the wall in, I think, 50-some days. Remarkable when you think they had no modern hydraulic equipment or anything like that. And then it was later that I think Ezra came back with a group of people, and they rebuilt the temple. So I'd like to think of myself as a Nehemiah. I'm driving in the dark under the cloak of secrecy, hoping that the powers that be aren't, using their fusion centers to locate me and maybe have a little talk with me tonight. I'm going to do some photography that I use to hopefully advance the Lord's kingdom And so much to say. I think that, this is obviously what they call Good Friday. In 2 days, we will celebrate his resurrection from the dead, which I emphatically believe. Christ is risen; he is risen indeed. And it's from Jesus Christ that I get my strength. It's to him that I look for strength, and it's to him that I look for a future where the tyrants and the despots and the fools and the wicked and the violent don't dictate maneuvers in human history anymore. I know that day will happen. I pray that the rapture of the saints happens soon, and that those that I have lovingly warned that are left behind because they, according to Thessalonians, refuse to receive the love of the truth, and therefore they're left behind to endure the tribulation period written about extensively in the book of Revelation, which will be a brutal period, far worse than what we've experienced in the last month. And but I believe this last month is God's warning, and not to say that if the rapture happened any day now, then this last month will turn even more wicked, even faster, and you will see the installment of the Antichrist and the false prophet probably shortly after the true Christians have been raptured out of here. So, but there will come a day when the King of Kings, Jesus Christ, will reign from the throne in Jerusalem, and all of this claptrap and nonsense and evil and wickedness will be in the dustbin of history. It will be no more. And righteousness and justice and beauty and holiness will reign and will be dominant, and evildoers will be swiftly punished. Now, evildoers are given multiple chances by the Lord to repent of their wickedness. But what you're seeing now in the country is just this incredible, this incredible surge of wickedness, and most people are just laying down for it, accepting it, and are even participatory in it. So, well, I'm going to go explore the ruins tonight and see what the Lord has for me. He's always got something new for me every day. And if I sound a little tired, a little bit spent, it's because I am. And no matter how strong you are in the Lord, we're still fallen creatures with human, strength quotas, with human feelings, with human failings. And of course, as you get older, those things become magnified and more and more obvious. So, looks like I got someone hot on my tail now. They must have heard the Fusion Center line. I don't know. We'll see about that. So, maybe we'll hang on here. And they turned off, thankfully. I've actually asked the Lord to make me invisible to people that would harm me, that would do me harm, and so far so good. But I don't know what the Lord has for me and for those who are true believers in Jesus and have been born again and really want two things right now. They want the lost to get saved, and once they get saved, we'd like to get out of here. And as Fernando Ortega sang, as his song goes, you can have all of this world, and just give me Jesus. You can have all of this world, just give me Jesus. Good night, friends.